views expressed are those of the host, guests, and callers, not necessarily those of News Radio 1040 WHO.
Good morning, friends, and welcome back to the conversation. This is our Thursday morning get-together. It's a gorgeous day, and you thought simply because the election is over, the political issues are gone. No, they're just getting started. It's just a different chapter in the same book. And now that Congressman Tom Latham has survived a squeaker up there, I understand they're going into a recount, and you were up all night just worried to death that you're going to survive this onslaught of against you. You survived another close one, sir.
I did, and thank you for the chance to be with you this morning. And if I could, just first of all, I want to say thank you to the voters and constituents in the 4th Congressional District for their support. We had an overwhelming victory, and I just, from the bottom of my heart, just want to say thank you. With reapportionment coming, we're going to go from 5 congressional seats to 4 next time. So all the districts.
How did they divide it? What body part are you going to lose in this process? Because you still have 5 people and 4 seats. Right. So who is going to lose body parts?
Well, we don't know what the map is going to look like yet, and that will be proposed. I think the Legislative Service Bureau has to have that done by April 1st next year. The legislature then will approve or disapprove of that. The governor has to sign it.
By which date?
I believe it's April 1st.
Oh, that's just such an unfortunate day to do anything serious.
Well, thanks, Jan. Anyway, but no, it's going to be a major change. In all likelihood, certainly, we will go from 5 to 4 seats. So there's going to be a major redrawing of lines.
Theoretically, it's not supposed to make any difference at all who's in the governor's chair, who's in the state legislature at that point. That's supposed to be a nonpartisan or a bipartisan endeavor. But like we found out in the judicial merit selection process, even the noblest intentions don't work very well. So how certain are you that somebody's political thumb won't be on the scale somewhere when it comes to this?
Well, I mean, we have a system in Iowa that is looked at nationally because it is supposedly a nonpartisan legislative group that gets together, draws the map. We have to have whole counties. We have to have contiguous counties. And so they'll put forth a map based on the census this year. And then I think the political part certainly.
So there are not going to be any isthmuses and peninsulas.
Well, we can't break up counties,
right?
Here, so which is good, but that also causes sometimes unusual shape maps when you go down to pick up counties that you need to get the balance as far as population.
Can metro areas be split up? I mean, like Des Moines and Ames or places like that?
It would be Polk County, Story County. I mean, they have to be whole counties in our system.
All right.
So, but, the political part probably then comes in when the legislative bodies look at the map to see if they approve or disapprove. They can disapprove the first time like they did last time.
Right.
And then they propose a second map, which was accepted last time. That could be voted down. Then the third time, if it were disapproved, then they could actually amend it on the floor of the Iowa House or the Iowa Senate.
All right.
The governor needs to sign it, too.
Okay. All right. And can it be, if it goes through all of that process, can it be appealed? Can it be, or does that have to, could it go to a courts? Or, I mean, are there checks and balances in all
Conceivably, I think it could. Anything could be challenged in court, as we know these days.
Who has jurisdiction? I mean, is it state? It would be state courts, or would it be national?
It would be in the state court because it would be based on the Iowa Constitution as to how the districts are drawn.
And is Iowa under the Voting Rights Act?
No.
And it was speculated that we would be, and I don't see any reason why it could be. We don't have any. I can't think of any overwhelming changes in the last census. that would cause us to be under that jurisdiction.
No, I agree. I don't think there's any reason that we would be brought under that. Certainly, when you look at some of the states and the way they reapportion, and when they follow an interstate highway for 50 miles to pick up another community someplace else, and it's somewhat unusual how they do it compared to the, I think, pretty straightforward way that we do it here in Iowa.
So why are we losing a congressional seat, and who is not carrying their weight?
We need to have more children in this
Like
state.
I said, who's not doing their part? Is it the Methodists? Would it be the Lutherans? Catholics always do their part, right?
Thanks, Jan. I want to go there, yeah.
The election's over. They won't remember 2 years from now. You can tell us the truth now.
Well, we actually have increased our population somewhat, but not nearly enough to keep up with the high growth rates in the southern part of the country. States like Texas will pick up, I think, 4 seats this time. A lot of the southern states will have their numbers increase, and the Rust Belt, the upper Midwest, is going to lose a lot of seats.
Okay. We're not technically in the Rust Belt.
No,
we're in the Ag Belt, aren't we?
Right. Yeah.
So we're fairly stable. We just aren't growing as fast.
We're
growing, but we're not losing population.
We were almost on the bubble, 10 years ago as far as losing a seat then, but this time we certainly have not kept up with the growth nationally.
Because it's a formula, it's a constitutional formula based upon population.
Right. They divide the population by 435 seats, and so each state, then there'll be a number of citizens in each congressional district, and then apply that. And this time, it looks very much like Iowa will go from 5 to 4.
We had one of the hugest mood swings in the electorate as it reflected itself in the congressional vote. At least you guys picked up what? How many seats?
60 plus. The number's not final yet. So.
That will. Nancy Pelosi is no longer your source of either humor or disaster. Somebody is going to have that job. Will Boehner have that job? He's the presumed titular head, right?
Yes, I believe he will. I don't see any challenge out there at all for John Boehner, and he has done an outstanding job in the leadership.
Well,
hang
on to that. Somebody already wants to ask you a question about that. Use your earphones there. And this is Julie. You wanted to ask that very same question. Good morning.
I did. Good morning. And Congressman Latham, congratulations. I was pleased to be able to vote for you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I want to encourage you to, I think the mood swing, as Jan just called it, of the election cycle is that we're sick of politics as usual, and Boehner's really been a part of that. I would strongly encourage you to put somebody in like Mike Pence, who will be a strong leader. Boehner's already indicated that he's not real interested in putting things forward that won't be able to, quote, get passed. But here in Iowa, we've seen what pushing things forward to even procedural votes. We did that on marriage in the House. Kent Sorensen, a freshman legislator, actually pushed forward the marriage thing, and he got protests from his own party. Said, "Oh, we don't have the votes to do it. We don't have the votes to do it." But what it did is it put them on record, and then they couldn't hide from their actual voting record. So we really don't like Boehner, but we like Mike Pence a whole bunch. So we would encourage you to change course on leadership.
All right.
Well,
now, who's the we, by the way, Julie?
We, the citizens of Iowa who voted Tom Latham in very strongly and have voted in Tea Party candidates and Rand Paul and the people across the country that are really strong candidates and not just your politics-as-usual establishment people.
Is there any particular move you'd like me to put on Latham to kind of some kind of a physical hold?
Maybe a headlock?
Headlock. I can put him in one of those choke things, and I can do a submission hold. I've been practicing one of those armbar takedowns. I can do that.
I have to tell you that several years ago when, we've been increasingly impressed by Congressman Latham. Seems like when he first got in, he was kind of a vanilla guy, and I know that
he was kind of a wimp back
quiet,
then. Yeah,
but he's gotten increasingly strong. And several years ago, he actually called me from Washington, D.C. in response to my letter of frustration.
Wow.
When they seemed to be just following the liberal Bush right along with whatever he was doing, which, really nearly destroyed the Republican Party in 2006. And so this is another opportunity, I think, if the Republicans want to continue to pick up seats, the only way they're going to do it is to actually respond. And Boehner's already, I mean, all of his statements have kind of said, well, you know, we're not going to really be able to get a whole bunch done, and we're going to work with the president. I think we've had enough of that.
All right. Thank you, Julie. Appreciate it. Because that represents, you got a split in the party, a mood split, ideological split. You've got the Palenistas and the Paulinistas, and you've got the Boehnerites. You came into Congress with the Boehner class. You and Newt Gingrich and Jim Nussle. That was you guys were the Young Turks at that moment. What do you think about now that you've got the power back? What are you going to do with it?
Well, first of all, to respond to Mike Pence is a great representative. He's someone that I admire so much and would do a great job. But Mike has already announced that he is not going to run for conference chairman again. He is not seeking any kind of leadership position in the new Congress. And I think there is a.
Does that mean he's thinking about president?
Well, I think either that or governor. Of Indiana,
okay.
Because Mitch Daniels is going to be retiring. So, but Mike has other ambitions, and I just don't think that he would put his name forth. Right now, I don't believe that there's anyone that's going to step up to challenge.
Cantor's making a move, not necessarily to challenge, but he's just issued some kind of a manifesto, a 21-page manifesto of things he wants to get done, mostly economic. Have you read it, and do you agree with it? Is he going to assume a larger role?
I have not seen what Eric Cantor's put forth, but let me just say that the leadership is extremely unified, and that's one thing that I do admire with Boehner is the fact that he keeps everybody informed. There's great communication. Everybody's on the same page all the time.
Well, what page are you guys on now, though? I guess that's what she's asking about.
Well, I think the message from this election, it was not a Republican victory at all. It was a total rejection of the policies that have been put forth by the president, by Harry Reid, by Nancy Pelosi, they have jammed through.
Agreed, and that's the really cool part of this is Obamacare, at least by the electorate, has been rejected. And Obama was asked yesterday about what he's prepared to concede on. He said, I'll work with the Republicans about all kinds of stuff, except that. Right. He ain't going to budge on that, so what are we going to get out of this?
Well, you're going to see a vote, I think, quite soon after the new Congress is sworn in to repeal Obamacare. And I think you're going to have people on
How many
record.
times are you going to keep pushing on it?
Well, we'll see how many times it takes. But the problem is with Harry Reid over in the Senate is, they're not going to do it. Harry Reid would never allow a vote on that in the Senate unless they did some procedural way. They had some procedural way of getting that vote on record in the Senate. But the president certainly would never sign a repeal of the health care bill. Tweak it, what he was talking about. That's not what the American people want.
They're not also, as you just heard, the American people aren't, well, at least her faction, not interested in consensus either. Because if you've got a socialist position over here and a free economic position on the other side, what's the consensus? I mean, there's no basis for negotiation, is there?
I think there is if, in fact, the president listened to the message that was, screamed at him last Tuesday.
Right.
To reject those policies, the big spending, the government takeover. He has not focused on creating jobs, get this economy going. That is what the election was all about.
Yeah.
And, in fact, if he listens to the American people, he will do and negotiate with us and on our basis as far as cutting spending, as far as consistency and certainty, as far as tax policy going forward. But it's going to be an interesting battle.
On the basis of what happened during the negotiations and the original health care debates, or lack of debates, your switch wars.
I was going to say, what did we have that debate?
You guys were overwhelmed by the public saying, don't do this. He didn't listen back then. What makes you think he will listen now? He's taken down his own party because he wouldn't listen. What makes you think he's any more likely to listen now?
I don't know. I can't read his mind. Yesterday, I think he was in denial in his press conference. He did not seem to